Welcome, we're grateful you came today, and apologies for changing the date and time, but hoping some of you can catch it online. And we're glad to have Lisa here to talk to us about technology this morning. So we will do our flag acknowledgement and we should begin.
If you're comfortable, I invite you to join with me. The Creator, overflowing with love, breathed all of creation into being.
God made people to care for the earth.
We acknowledge that the land on which we live, work, and worship today is the land traditionally cared for by the Anishinaabe, Arawangara, Haudenosaunee, and Métis peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence and deep traditional knowledge, laws, and philosophies of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today.
We long for reconciliation with our Indigenous siblings. Care for creation.
Here for technology. I'm not an expert. I learn everything through Google, and that's what I'm here to teach you, is that you can learn anything you need to know about the computer by just being willing to ask questions. So I'm going to just start with some really basic running your computer. So Mom has a stack of keyboard shortcuts there. If you're not used to them, it's something you can keep next to the keyboard. Because sometimes when you're working on the computer, sometimes your mouse is temperamental and it's hard to get things copied the way you want them. So if you know all of the shortcuts, you can copy or paste or change the direction of your screen just by a few keystrokes. For example, if I zoomed in on something and it was all out of balance and you want it to get right back to being shrunk down into where it would normally be, you just hold down the control key and press 0 and it just pops right back into place, which is a lot easier than trying to scroll it back into the right size and shape. So keep that handy if you're trying to remember how to do some keyboard functions. It'll make your life a lot easier when you're on the computer. And the biggest thing on the computer is that if you're looking for more options, if there's something that's not where you need it to be, either you right click and a menu will pop up. So this was in PowerPoint, I right click and it gives me options for copying and paste and different things. Or you look for something that has 3 dots. So do you see the 3 dots in that picture? Probably not, right up in the top hand corner there. So anything that's like that, that's going to give you more options. So if you're on Facebook, like this post is, you can edit your post or you can edit who can see your post and all of those kinds of things. So either right click, look for 3 dots. If you're on a cell phone, press and hold will do the same kind of thing. And hopefully it'll bring up a menu that gives you options to download or whatever you're trying to do. I do have a short video for us because I did get a request to ask about cleaning devices, and I don't want to take the liability of telling you how to clean your devices, so I'm going to let someone on the internet tell you how to do it. So just go over how to keep your laptop clean.
Wix, one platform, any website, unlimited creation. Describe your needs and goals.
Keeping your laptop clean can be a challenge, especially if you're working from home and you're using your laptop more than usual. Or maybe your kids are shoving cereal into the keyboard while they're Skyping with the grandparents. No matter what the reason, your laptop probably isn't as clean as it could be. Let's fix that. Before we get started, there are going to be liquids involved in this process, so please power down your laptop and unplug it from the charger. Hopefully you're watching this video on your phone or another computer, or you've got a good memory. Also, be sure to subscribe to this channel if you're looking for more tips like this one. At this stage, you probably don't have a removable battery anymore, but if you do, go ahead and take it out for now, just to be safe. Alright, first things first, let's clean the outside of the laptop. Mix a couple of drops of dishwashing liquid in a couple of cups of warm water. Some people swear by a particular brand of blue dish soap, but any will do. I like this green one because it smells like apples. Dip a lint-free cloth into your soapy water. Give it a good squeeze Wring it all out. And then give your case a good rub down. Rinse out the cloth with clean water and wipe it down again. Use a dry cloth to wipe down the outside once you're done. You could also use this mixture on your laptop screen, but be careful. Try using a dry cloth first, especially a microfiber cloth. I have some from my eye doctor, but sometimes they come included with TVs or computers when you buy them. If that doesn't get all the gunk off, try your dish soap mixture again, but really try to wring out as much water as you can. And don't rub too hard. And like we did before, rinse out your soapy cloth, wring it out again, and wipe your display to remove any soap residue. Then take your dry cloth and wipe the display to remove any streaking. Now let's take a look at the keyboard, potentially the grossest part of the whole machine. The goal here is to avoid getting any liquid under the keys, or any more than already has. To start, give it a good shake over a trash can to get all the big pieces out.
No, I would drop it if I did that.
At this point, a lot of people would tell you to get a can of compressed air and give the keyboard a good blow. You could do that, but I prefer using something like this. This compressed air blower is super powerful, doesn't contain any chemicals, and can be used over and over again for a lot of things. Plus, the brush attachment can get in between the keys and any other little crevices. When you've given your keyboard a real good blow, dab one of your lint-free cloths in some isopropyl alcohol and give the tops of the keys a nice rub down. You might be tempted to use your soapy water here, but really you don't want any water getting inside. The alcohol will evaporate almost immediately. You can also use this technique on your desktop computer's keyboard too. And while you're there, it probably wouldn't hurt to give your mouse a quick wipe as well. Alright, let's go hunting for dust bunnies or any other debris hiding in your laptop's vents and ports. Grab your favorite air blowing device and point it right at the orifice of choice. Get the vents, the USB ports, and all the little nooks and crannies. If any of those little buggers refuse to come out, you can try to remove the laptop case, but consult the user manual before you do. And there you go. Hopefully your laptop's a lot less disgusting than it was before. Feel free to plug it in, turn it on, and resume watching Netflix while you're supposed to be working.
I think they made that video for mom.
That if you have trouble with the internet, check your modem because mine was so full of dust that it was.
Yeah, and you can do the same thing. A can of compressed air will clean it out. The other thing that gets dirty often is our, cell phones that we carry everywhere with us, and then we stick them in our pocket, and then we go and eat lunch without thinking about where they've been last. So it's the same process as wiping down the screen. A microfiber cloth, a little bit of soap and water if it's really dirty, and you just wipe it off. Most phones are water resistant now, so if you get a little bit of water on them, it's not the end of the world. I have been known to, on occasion, when I've been at the barn and taking pictures and touching things that are a little unsavory, to just put my phone right under the tap and rinse it off, which is not something you could have done with a phone 10 years ago, but it is safe to do now. You just kind of want to avoid the charging port on the bottom, like maybe keep it this direction down so that the water's not flowing into the port, and just a little bit of soap and water will clean it right off.
So it's better to use compressed air rather than a vacuum cleaner, right?
It is. I can't tell you why,
Oh,
but
okay.
any computer expert I've ever talked to has said use compressed air. I think it's just because that maybe the vacuum could put pressure on the parts and loosen things up in a way that you don't want. So yeah, compressed air and blowing things out which seems counterintuitive because you'd feel like it's going to blow in, but
Yeah.
the opening the case, my uncle used to do that on his computer all the time. I've never attempted it myself. There are computer experts that will do that for you very cheaply, and I'd recommend that because it's just safer and computers are expensive. I'm just going to really briefly go over the difference between data and Wi-Fi because I think that's something that people get confused about sometimes, and it can end up costing you a lot of money if you're not on Wi-Fi when you think you are. So in general terms, Wi-Fi is something that connects you through an internet network, through a cable system, or through a wireless system if you're on one of those networks, but it's your internet connection. It's the same one that you use on the house, but your cell phone can connect to the wireless connection of the Wi-Fi. So you're going to find Wi-Fi in places like your homes and coffee shops, and anywhere that has a cable connection. And then your mobile data is through your cell phone provider. So it only comes from cell towers. And so it's a little bit more metered and limited in how much you can use, because they don't want you to overtax the cell systems. And because, let's be honest, they can charge you money if you use too much, and cell companies love that. So you want to make sure that you have your Wi-Fi on whenever you can, so that you can keep your mobile data down. So if you come to church, maybe not on a Sunday morning, because the more devices you have connected to Wi-Fi, the slower the speed is going to be, because it's just going to strain the system. But if you're here for Spiritual Saturday and you have your things on your phone, you can connect to the Stone Wi-Fi network, and you can save a little bit of money on data. Or if you want to send a picture to me while you're here so that I can walk you through how to do it, we have Wi-Fi, and that keeps you able to keep that bill down and make sure that you're not going over your limits, because everybody's limit's different. So it's hard to know when you're going to hit it. And you can turn things on your phone to tell you if you're getting close to that limit. And you can also just turn the data off and only turn it on when you want to use it, so that you know that you're not going over. I just talked across all of my slides, so we'll just skip ahead. Is there any questions about data and Wi-Fi? Oh, the other one I will bring up here is public versus private Wi-Fi. So public Wi-Fi is like if you go to McDonald's and they have it open, you don't need a password. And so anybody can be on it. And the challenge with Wi-Fi is that if anybody is on it, it's easier for them to hack your devices if they're on the same network. So if you're in a public space, you don't want to do things like online banking or anything that uses a lot of private information, because there is a small chance that somebody could be on that network trying to gather people's information. So keep it to things like looking at your maps, and checking emails is probably okay as long as they're not too just make sure that you're on a private network, one that you had to put a password in to get into when you're using Wi-Fi for those more important things.
And our phones will remember one phone that we've been on before. So when you go back to the place, it will
automatically.
if it's set up that.
Yeah.
Like a hotel.
Yeah.
So this is my personal, just trying to get information out there of things that annoy me. I'm going to go over emails. And so here's your basics of getting into your email. They got the Gmail logo at the top, the Outlook in the middle, who's at the bottom. So everyone's email is going to be a little different. So I couldn't give you a full walkthrough visual of what it looks like for email, because there's too many different systems. But in general, you just click a new message. There's the email subject, which should be short and concise so you can see it when it comes up on your phone, and then the main message. And so this is the one that I really want people to understand, and I've made mistakes with it in the past in embarrassing ways. So the difference between when you should use reply and reply all. So the reply goes only to the sender. And the fun trick is some emails will default to just doing reply, and some emails will default to doing reply all. So if you're in your Outlook, automatically it will just go to reply. If you're in a message with a lot of people, if you're in Gmail, automatically it will go to everyone which is why I made the mistake of sending something to everyone that I meant to send to one person, because I use both. And so reply is just to talk to that one individual person. It will only go to whoever's name is at the top of the email. Reply all will go to everyone on the list. So they'll all get to see your response in your email. So when to use reply all is when you're doing a vote on a motion and you want everyone to see because it's a public vote, and you hit reply all. When you don't use reply all is if somebody gave you information and you want to give a quick, okay, thanks, you can just send that to the person who sent the information. Everybody else doesn't need 10 emails that say, okay, thanks. So just that little bit of clicking can save us having a lot of extra emails in our inbox. And this is another important thing to know the difference of, because if you get it mixed up, it can, have privacy issues. Is when you're emailing, you have two, which is if you're just sending it to anybody, and then carbon copy, which means they're going to get a copy of the email. Two and carbon copy function essentially the same, but having two highlights that there's one person that you wanted to send it to, and then carbon copy is people who are going to be copied in on the email. So for example, if you're in a meeting and there's been a problem with the minister, so MMP has to send her a message, they would put to Heather, and then they would, in the carbon copy line, put all of the other members of MMP so that they have a copy of it, but we know that it is addressed to the specific person. And then blind carbon copy is so that you don't see all of the emails on. So we blind carbon copy our announcements every week, so that if there's anyone on our list who doesn't want the whole world who gets our announcements to see their email address, it's private. You only see that it's gone to you. And when you reply to a blind carbon copy email, it will only go to the one person. Is there any questions about that?
That's interesting, and sometimes at Christmas, how you get the epistles from people. And suddenly you're right, then you start to get the reply to the epistle because they haven't got it just in one way, so you think. Is that person, and you can see what it's, they just did it, goes to everybody, suddenly you've got, okay, that epistle went to 30 people, now there's 29 people responding to it. And
Yeah, so if you use blind carbon copy, then that will save your friends and family getting all of those extra replies.
So I have 2 pounds. One is I send things to my mother's cousins. And so I include them all, so they can see each other, so they can correspond with each other, so I don't have to be with them, and then I'm not gonna figure that out. But with the church, occasionally, I will send it to all of you so you know who it is. But when we send the announcements and things, we're sending it to so many people that if we don't blind carbon copy it, it won't go to some people because they're spam, I think it's junk. So if you have a lot of people you wanna send something to, and you're having trouble getting to somebody, use blind carbon copy. And that helps get it to junk mail. Doesn't always, but it helps.
And that's something I should have put in here is check your junk mail regularly. I was doing tech at the region meeting this weekend, and I was getting the first few emails, and I thought I was on top of everything, but they were sending so many emails, again, doing the reply all thing when they could have just done the reply, that my email thought they were junk mail because they were kind of spamming me. So the other thing that's really important to know with emails is how to do attachments. This is one I really wish I could show you, but it's so different between Outlook, which uses OneDrive, and Gmail, which uses Google Drive. So if you want a one-on-one tutoring of OneDrive versus Google Drive, I think that's going to be easier to do on an individual basis. But overall, when you're attaching files, there'll be something that says insert or attach. You'll see a little paperclip icon, like not as cute and stylized as the one there, but paperclip always means attach. The important thing to know about attachments is there are size limits. And if you go over the size limit, your email will bounce back. It won't go through. This happens to me all the time when I'm sending pictures because I always just want to squeeze one more in and see if it'll fit. So basically 20 to 25 megabytes, I find it tends to be 4 to 5 pictures. Usually if you're sending text documents, you're not going to get anywhere near that limit and you don't have to worry about it. But for things like pictures and slideshows, it is really easy to go over that 25 limit. That's a fairly small amount of data. So if you need to send bigger files, you either have to use Google Drive or OneDrive, Dropbox, some kind of file sharing program. Google Drive is free for the first, I want to say 50 gigabytes. They change it all the times, and I didn't look it up before the presentation. So it might, but they have free storage for anyone with a Gmail account. So it's a good one to use. I'm not sure if OneDrive has free storage. Dropbox, I believe, is being paid now. So just use a free one. There are free ones out there. Don't pay for something you don't need to. But basically, you'll have to, if you're using the one that corresponds with your email, you should be able to access it from the attached menu. But sometimes I need to use my Outlook email for something, but I want to get something out of my Google Drive. Then I go into the Google Drive and I right click on it and you get a shareable link. And then you copy this. So that's why sometimes when you get attachments, there's attached at the top, and sometimes they're just a hyperlink of text. If they're hyperlinked, then that means that somebody used Google Drive. The challenge of sharing things through drives is sometimes people don't realize they have password protection on, and sometimes you can't open them without second verification. So if you can get under that 25 megabytes, it's easier to just directly attach something to an email. Any questions about that?
Google Drive is 15 gigabytes.
15, it used to be 50. As we get more data, they give us less for free. So now we all have a pretty good basic understanding of how email works. And so I thought we should make sure that we are using our emails well and play a little game to see if something is or isn't a scam. So these are all emails or text messages that came from my account. So they are all real emails. And some of them are scams and some of them are not. So let's see if you can tell the difference. So this is an email from Google Drive. I'll tell you that the email address at the top, because it'll be hard to read from where you're sitting. It says Google Drive Storage as the sender name, and then the email address is Google Drive Storage at leffler.garsts.com. So do you think this email is real or do we think it's a scam? It's, yeah, obviously a scam. Because the domain name on the email address is bizarre. Domain names are typically just the name of the company. So if you get any, like having my email address in the domain name, so the part that's after the @ is a huge red flag that an email is a scam. The other thing is that this is my Outlook account. Oh, sorry, before I get to that one. So it gives you a false sense of urgency that your storage is full, you need to get it right away. Like this is immediate. That's always a red flag because they're just trying to get you amped up so you're not thinking straight. And the biggest one is I don't have a Google Drive account connected to this account. So it's pretty obvious that that's not. So if there's any red flags, just always get a second set of eyes on it because it's really easy to be overly tired when you're checking your emails late at night and not think all of these things through. So this one, it's a little hard to see for me even, but it's from Chocolat Favre at noreply@chocolatfavre.com. And it says this message was put in my junk folder, and that's why all of the pictures are blocked out because my computer thinks it's junk. Any guesses?
Should be okay.
Yeah, and so it is because it is the company name in the email. It's something, if you click on one of the links in it, it takes you to the same website that you could Google. So if I click on, I'd have to tell it it's not junk before I can click on it. But if I click on it, it will take me to that website. If I type Chocolat Favre into Google, it will take me to that website. That's a really important thing when you're checking if something's a scam, because if you can't get to it by Google, it's definitely a scam. And so, and the other thing is that I signed up for this, but sometimes things that you signed up for can be cloned. So it happened to my aunt the other day. I asked her to send me the email, but she probably should be here for this seminar. She sent me the advice she got from the people she was corresponding with about the scam, not the actual email that was the scam. But basically she got an email from the Bay that said that there was a 24-hour sale. So she went and she ordered some clothes, and then she just felt like something was a little bit off. And then it turned out that they had cloned the website. So it went to her email. It's a store that she regularly gets emails from. But so if a sale feels too good to be true, it probably is. So this was a really common one. Does anyone?
That's scam.
Yeah, Microsoft telling you that your account's going to be suspended, always a scam. It's, yeah.
Creature. And I love that, they use things that relate to your life.
Yeah, so a corporate email from a person, an individual, is almost always going to be a scam. The fact that this says it's my sequel to the previous notice and I didn't have a previous notice is another red flag. And that they're asking for my password when I'm already logged into the email is something to be wary of. There are very rare occasions where, like, for example, if somebody emailed you a file from Google Drive, you may need to put in your password a second time to verify that you're actually still in your account and it hasn't gone stale. But for the most part, if something's asking for a password when you're already logged in, you should be very suspicious of that. This is a fun one. It's grand opening for the clay hole. The email is danpierce@theclayhole.com. And it's for a pottery opening in Utah. So it is a personal name in the business, which I just warned you about. And the location is very far from where we are. But it's not a scam. It's a small business. I ordered pottery from this website and they are launching a new business, which I'm very sad is in Utah because it looks cool. But because they had my email address in their small business, then they've sent, but I did make sure because they had a different domain name because they've set up a new business to do actual like clay workshops. I did make sure I Googled his business and I made sure that it was the same person. It wasn't someone just imitating him, but it was in fact him just using his old database with a new email. And because it's a small business, sometimes people do use their names because they want to make it feel more personal. But you should always make sure that you connected to that business through Google or through a direct webpage that someone gave you before you just automatically trust the email. This is a text message. It says PC Optimum free item in-app only. Do you have any guesses on that? Have to click on the link to get your offers. If I click on the link, it gives me this. Does that make you change your mind? So when I click on the link, it takes me into my PC account. And that's how I know that this is safe. So it's something that I've signed up for. It's something that they've warned me that I will get text messages about. And it takes me to the secure account that I already have. So that's how you know that that is actually a safe one that you can go back to and that they'll send you alerts. This is one I get all the time. Scotiabank fraud alert. Due to suspicious activity, locked out our debit card. Yeah, obviously this is a scam. This is not my bank. So they can't be locking me out of a card I don't have. And banks will not contact you via text message. I did put a star on that because if you go into the bank and you've talked to a financial planner, they may ask if they can send you a text message to ask you to come back to sign some paperwork or something. But they'll only send you text messages that they've already told you that you should expect. If they're asking you to log into your banking from a text message, that's not from your bank.
You could go to your bank and log in, like not click on this and find out there if there's a message for you.
Yeah, if you ever get a text like this and you're not sure, log into your bank account or call the bank. And how this scam works is pretty clever because they give you the numbers of your debit card, the 43600, but that will be the same number that every Scotiabank debit card starts with. So if they give you the first numbers, they don't know what your card is. If they give you the last numbers and it looks like a scam, you should probably contact a fraud department just to be sure that they didn't somehow get your information. Oh, I missed my first bullet. So obviously this one's a scam because it's telling you right at the top that it's got an unusual domain name. This is a really common one.
We can't. We can see devinjohnson.ca is the best, but it's supposed to be from.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be from UPS. And this is a really common scam because you get that false sense of urgency of, oh, did someone send me a package I don't know about? Or I do so much online shopping that I didn't keep track and did I miss something? Wouldn't know anything about that in our house. So that unusual domain name of devinjohnson.ca instead of UPS is a big tip off. The other thing is that it doesn't have my email in the account information. It says leffler@hotmail.com, and my email probably shouldn't say on the recording. It's not Hotmail, so that's going to tell you, like, if they have anything in your information wrong, there's a good chance it's a scam. And then the other thing is the cheap graphics. Like, a business as big as UPS is not going to use that cheesy little truck graphic there. And it's around color brown. It's brown is the UPS brown is dark. Now that could be because your screen colors are adjusted a little bit, but it's just something to give you a red flag to look into it deeper before you click on it. So that's my whole quiz. You guys did pretty well. The best thing is that the only ones that you got wrong were the ones that weren't a scam. And it's always better to think that something is and to look into it further than to click on something you're not sure about. So a question I get all the time in the church is how to use your phone camera or how to send us pictures. So I thought I'd go over that. If you have your camera here and you want to look at it on your phone, you can do that if that's helpful. Because again, if you have an iPhone or you have a Samsung or you have a Google, everything's going to be a little different. And so so if I'm on my home screen, I've put my camera app right in the bottom here because I like to take a lot of pictures and I want it to be easy to find. So you can move around your apps to wherever it's easiest for you, but your camera is going to look like a camera. It's going to have a circle and a little square. So you can just open up your app by tapping on it. And you can use it to take photos or videos. And every camera is going to have slightly different features, but there are lots of other fun ones that you can. So one of the useful tools that a lot of people don't know about is there's this little dot on the camera that I can slide around, and that is a shutter button. And I can move it to wherever it's helpful for my hand. So if I'm taking a picture like this, I'm going to want it over here so that my thumb and my camera button line up. So you just tap and hold and then drag it wherever you want it. Then when you want to take pictures of other people, you keep it in one mode. If you want to get to selfie mode on my camera, you can just slide your finger down or up and it will switch from seeing you guys to seeing me on the camera. And if you don't have the slide feature turned on your phone, usually it's a little button that looks like a circle to turn it around. Now, the best thing about hanging out with people who are younger than you is I learned how to take selfies. I was at a class in Winnipeg and we were trying to take a group selfie with like 4 or 5 people and it was not working out. And there was the guy there who's about 25 and he said, well, why don't you have your self timer on? And we're like, why would you have your self timer on for selfies? So somewhere on your camera, there'll be a button that looks like a clock. So mine is up in the top near the middle. And if you tap it, you have the option of no number, which will be as soon as you click it, it'll take a picture. Mine has 2 seconds, 5 seconds, or 10 seconds. So if I put it on 5 seconds and I push the button, I have 5 seconds to see if I can get you guys in the background of my picture before it takes the picture. And that's so much easier when you're trying to take pictures. Although if you're trying to take pictures of your grandbabies, you might want to take the timer off because they sometimes move pretty quick. Other things that you might want to know about your camera is that you can adjust the flash in different lighting. But sometimes I usually leave mine off all the time. I take a lot of pictures of animals and they don't like getting flash in their eyes, so it's easier to leave it off. So there's an icon that looks like a lightning bolt, again, probably at the top of your phone. If you tap it, it'll give you the option of, with a strikeout is no flash. With an A means automatic, so it's going to tell you if there's enough light or not, and it'll use flash when needs to. If you just do standard photography, that's not a bad one to leave it on automatic, because then it will always be on the right setting, or usually sometimes phones make mistakes too. And then the lightning bolt with nothing on it means that it will always be on. So if you want to harass your friends in the dark and leave the flash on so that you keep flashing their eyes, you put it on the lightning bolt, that's always on. So if you want to make sure that your pictures are good and in focus, when you have your camera, I'm gonna look at the flowers and make sure they're where I want it, and then I'm gonna tap right on the flowers on the screen. And that's gonna tell the camera that I want to focus on those flowers, and then I can hit the shutter button, and it's gonna be as in focus as it can be. Or in my case, I'll move my hand before I get to the shutter button, and it'll just automatically try to focus on what it wants to focus on. Put that slide in twice. So once you've taken your pictures, you have to know how to find them. So if you have the camera app open, there is the button that will show the last picture you took, usually in the bottom corner. That will take you to your gallery. But if you are outside of your camera app, while I was here, I got a scam email. It's from your cloud status at PUJVG.
Wow, just like that.
It's just so obvious. It's like they're not even trying. So to find your gallery, there's 3 different icons that could be, the first one is for Samsung, that's the little flower. The second one, I believe, is an iPhone. That's what the internet told me. I usually avoid Apple products, only because they don't share well with others. And then the last one is the Google Drive. So if you find something like that on your desktop, it'll take you into your pictures. And then when you're in your pictures, you can see, if you hit the back button, it's going to take you to the different albums, and you can see all of your different photos that you've taken. And you can then go into, say, this picture of me looking down on everyone from my tech tower on the weekend. If I want to send that to somebody, there's this little button that looks like a V that helps you to share. So it's a dot, a line, a dot, a line, and a dot. So I guess it's a sideways V, maybe a greater than symbol. And if you click on that, it's going to give you a whole bunch of different options. And it's going to give you the options first of the ones that you use the most. So for example, Patty Link has sent me a message recently. So it's asking me if I want to send this to her through Messenger, which I may have just accidentally done. No, I think I just went back. But then at the bottom, it will also show all of the apps you have on your phone. So you can go into your email from there. You can send it through text message. You can send it through Facebook Messenger. And if you can't find what you want, keep scrolling until you find the 3 dots that say more. 3 dots that say more is always what you're looking for. So then if I want to send this in an email, I would tap my Gmail and it will attach it right there for me. And I just have to put in the email address of who I want to send it to, and it'll go right to them. If you want to send, how do you have a question?
Back up a bit, when you said to go to your photos that are in a gallery. And then the albums, you have them in albums or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I went on, I don't know how, that's one thing I was gonna ask is how to put my pictures into albums, because they're just pictures. They're just, yeah.
So it's,
Anyway, we.
yeah, no,
One-on-one,
we can do that. I just had to quickly figure out how to do it because I've never done it, but I pushed a button on my phone and it showed me how to do it. So on my phone, and I'm guessing iPhones, you have a Android phone, you don't have an iPhone.
No, it's an iPhone.
Oh, okay, so, but is there a plus sign somewhere near the top of your phone?
Plus sign, you mean, okay, I'm going into the camera.
So if you go into the camera and into the gallery, I'm gonna come down where you guys can see me, and I'm gonna apologize to anyone who watches this on the recording because I could not figure out a good way to share my camera on the screen with the technology we have here. Okay. So on my phone, we have, if I was in, in this gallery, so you can see all my pictures. That's where it's gonna stand. Preview.
See,
So
this is, okay, I'll show you, so that's how I done that. And then click down there, it's just,
So if
there's
you
no.
hit the back button, this is where I'm gonna fall down on iPhones because I can never find the buttons on my iPhone. Oh, up here. It's a little,
Oh, that,
oh, that's okay, okay, so but instead of being in there, so go back to your home screen for a second.
okay.
I don't see when I touch the screen, it goes. But
You don't look like me either.
right beside you have your photos.
Yes.
So click on that.
There's nothing in, oh, okay.
There's no, oh,
And now,
My iPad's full.
yeah, so just pull it out for now.
Oh, okay, close that. Okay, no. It's okay.
Yeah, so it's gonna want you to update it at some point.
I can't, do it.
Now, so I put the 3 dots, maybe will give you, that just lets me zoom in on the pictures, so. This is one I can't help you with off the top of my head because iPhones and Androids are different, but if you have Android, there's a, when I go back into where I can see them, so if I'm on the pictures, if I take the back arrow at the bottom. It will take me into all of my,
I guess I can.
oh, and then yeah, so it's in your album, there's a plus sign that was no, yours doesn't have it. I mean, this is the challenge with phones is that everyone is different. So what I do when I can't figure it out, I type it into Google. Know what the model of your phone is. I know that I have a Samsung Galaxy whatever number it is, I always look it up. And then when you know your phone model, put it in and say, this is what I wanna do, and it will take you to instructions for, yeah,
So if you wanna have a gambling thing, just say what it is and then Samsung 23 and then you pay off.
yeah, you can just bring your mic phone. So there's lots of, and different ways, so anytime you don't know how to do something on your phone, come to me and I'll Google it on my phone and we'll follow the instructions on your phone and then you can get through it together. So you can sort your pictures right on your phone. You can also take them from your phone to your computer by using your charging cable and plugging it into the computer, and then you can take the whole folder at once. And it is so much easier to sort things on a computer than it is on a phone. So are there any other questions about phones that we think I can answer? If not,
Oh.
yeah.
So let's say your iCloud's full.
Yeah.
Is that a big deal? Do I care?
If your iCloud is full, it will stop uploading pictures automatically to the iCloud. So if your phone still has storage, they'll be on your phone, but you won't be able to access them from your computer via the cloud. So you'd either have to go in and download them to make some space, but either way, you have to delete some. But if you can still take pictures on your phone and you're comfortable storing them on your phone, no, it's not a big deal.
Thanks.
I did get some questions about how to use PowerPoint. So I'm just gonna stop the share of the slideshow for a second and throw PowerPoint up on the screen. Don't know why it's done that, but that's okay because it'll work. So let me re-screen share the right screen. So just some overall basics of using PowerPoint. If you're in a slideshow and you want to make it bigger, you click on new slide. If you click on the top, it's just going to put in a basic title and context slide, or depending on your settings, it might just put in whatever slide you used last. But if you click on new slide at the bottom, you can have ones that already have the text boxes in place, or places where you can put pictures, or I am, like my mother, very controlling. So I always like to start with a blank box so that PowerPoint's not trying to think for me and I can make it however I want. So if I wanted to make a PowerPoint, I would then go into insert is any way you want to put something in that's not already there. So any text boxes, any images, any videos, you're going to click on insert. I have over 10,000 pictures on my computer, so it runs very slow. So hopefully yours moves a little faster. But once I'm in insert, I can add pictures by clicking here and go right into my computer files and have it pick out a picture for me. Let's see, this one is the first one that came up. And you can then resize it and change the picture or do whatever you want with it. You can put a border on it just by clicking these little ones at the top. And so there's lots of different ways, but if you want to just have a little bit of text on your slide, you go back to that insert text box. So you're going to click, hold down the mouse button and drag whatever size you want the text box to be. And so then I could write whatever I want in here, like making a good slide. And I would not be making a good slide because can you read that? So when you're doing things in PowerPoint for people in a setting like this, where you're going to have big screens in a big room, and on the whole, this is an average size room for a public space. So you want to use a minimum of 32-point font. So if I make that onto the slideshow, it's readable. It's not huge. It's maybe not readable for everyone in the room right now, but for your average person with average vision, you should be able to see anything that's 30-point font.
To give you an idea, I use 32 for the headings on Sunday and 36 for the themes.
Yeah.
And what we're reading.
So,
Sometimes make them 35 fonts.
so I would recommend 36 to 40 for PowerPoint slides, if you want people to be able to read along. And the reason so this is 44, and that's going to look small on my screen, but again, if I put it on the slide, this is a really nice size for reading across the room. Like you can pick that information up at a glance, and
Is that 40?
that's 44. And the thing about fonts, about slides, is that you want them to just give a trigger to the information most of the time. The way we use them in church to have all of the words on the screen for people is going to be a slightly different format than your standard presentation, because that's to make sure that either people can see it if they can't hear, or so that they can read along. So you're going to have bigger blocks of text than your average person is going to tell you you should have on a slide. But if you're ever doing a presentation for somebody, if we decide we need to have a stewardship presentation, you have to put a slideshow together. First of all, you can come to me for help. But second of all, make sure that you don't put too much information on the slide. Because if I take this and I fill up the whole slide with text, all of a sudden it's going to be really hard to read. So if I go in here and I hit my Control A to select all, Control C to copy, and Control V to paste, all of a sudden that gets really hard to distinguish what the words are. So the thing to remember with slides is not too much content on the slide. I'm saying that as someone who wants you to see good slides. As a tech person, put more content on the slides because I don't want to scroll through them all. But we want to make sure that people can see them well. Is there any other specific questions about PowerPoint that anyone had? This is something that there are really good Google tutorials about if you don't know how to do something. So the last thing I want to do, because I've already used more time than I should have, is to introduce you to my very good friend who helped me make this presentation. And that is chatgpt.com. Oh, stop my screen sharing. So just before people arrived, we were having a bit of a conversation. I reshared it. Is it there now? So AI is something that people have a lot of feelings about. Some people are really excited about it. Some people are scared about it. Some people think it's terrible. We were at a meeting this weekend where somebody was going over how AI has been used for really harmful things in war zones, using it for targeting people so that drones can kill people automatically and in that setting, it has no conscience because it has been built to have no conscience, and it is terrible. But that's a little bit like saying guns shoot people. Somebody programmed that AI to do the terrible things. If you want to use AI and you have good intentions, you get good things out of it. For example, as everyone in the room here will know, the friend online will not, my sister died 2 months ago, and I've been having some good days and some bad days with it. And on one of my bad days, I typed into GPT, how long is grieving gonna last? And it gave me a message that said that grieving takes the time it takes, and to not worry if you're not moving at the same pace as people around you. And then it offered to give me prayers and scriptures that would bring comfort, because I use ChatGPT to help me write prayers and to find scriptures when I don't feel like flipping through an entire Bible. So it knew that that was something that would bring comfort to me, and it chose really good, comforting scriptures. And then after the scriptures, it offered me some spiritual practices I could do. So it can give you really good things. So I thought we would have a little fun with ChatGPT. Patty, can you give us a tune that's easy to sing?
Row, row, row your boat.
Okay. Tell me something you like about Stone Church. Anybody? Okay, anyone else? Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to type in is all of the things you just said. And can you write me a song? Sorry, I'm not the fastest typer, especially when I'm standing at a pulpit. To the tune of row, row, row your boat, about Stone United Church, using the following prompts. I said windows to let you see outside.
Oh, okay, I can't. Good.
Okay, so I'm just gonna hit enter, and it's gonna think for a second. It says, sure, here's a cheerful, simple song to the tune Row, Row, Row Your Boat. So if I make this bigger, can we sing this together? Stone, stone, stone United Church welcomes you and me. I like people warm and kind, a caring place to be. See, see, see outside, window shining bright. Nature's beauty, light and trees, fill our hearts with light. Play, play, play the keys, organ sings so grand. Music lifts our spirits high, led by a skillful hand. Join, join, join us here, program full of grace. Learning, sharing, growing too. This is a sacred space. Pick, pick, pick some food from the harvest tables. Give from gardens, earth, and love. Grateful hearts are fed.
So AI is just the most evil thing in the world. So I would preach that, folks. I just,
So it would have, like, we could sit down and write that, and sometimes we should. But sometimes we don't have the time. And that's where AI comes in handy. So you can ask it to give you recipes. You can ask it to help you edit. I use it all the time for editing my papers. You can literally ask it anything and it will tell you whether or not it can do it. One thing you do have to be mindful of is that it doesn't have to give you the correct information. So sometimes when I'm writing a sermon and I'm going to tell a story about Moses, I want the bullet points of his life so that I don't miss anything when I'm preaching. And I don't want to take the time to type all of those out when I can type in here and say, give me the bullet points of Moses's life. But sometimes it misses something important, or I asked it of how many wives David has. If you're not familiar with Christian scriptures, David had many wives. He was known for the number of women that he had married, and had lots of tragic and interesting tales around that. It's a great story, even if you're not religious. But it gave me the wrong answer. And I knew it gave me the wrong answer because it left off Bathsheba, who is like the most well-known of all of David's wives. So you do have to be mindful of it. I try to mostly use it for information that I know or that I can fact check easily. I always ask it to give me its sources if I'm trying to use something where I'm not sure if it's going to be the information. And the other trick is to actually go to the source. I've seen videos of people who tell it to give the sources and they're like, okay, that's great. And then they actually like open up the book and it made it up. But I also have used it to get quotes that I know are in a book, and it's given me the right quotes. So it can give you the right information, but you always want to verify, because if you ask me a question and I want to feel smart, I'm going to give you an answer, and it may not be the right answer. And ChatGPT is the same thing. It's just trying to give you an answer. So if it doesn't have one, it's going to make it up.
Well, and it finds it by scanning the internet, right? So if I've put in the wrong information about Moses, and it happens on my sermon, it's going to be the wrong
Yeah.
There's
information.
thin dark too.
Yes, exactly.
This maybe is interesting. Where do you find it?
So it's literally chatgpt.com.
You enter that.
Into Google or into your browser at the top, where
Oh.
this is at the top. You just type that in. You have to make a free account to use GPT. You can get a paid account to get more features. I find they don't need them. And there are other AIs out there, and they're all developing. This is one that's most commonly used, which means it gets the most updates, and it's going to be hopefully if something is wrong with it, someone's going to flag it and they're going to do some reprogramming.
So each of the big names has them, so Microsoft is offering one in Word now, but Lisa introduced this one, so we've been using it.
Any other questions? Any questions about anything in general that I haven't covered?
So this chat GPT is free, or is it?
It's free, but you have to have an account.
Yeah.
And that's so, the way that things are free on the internet is that they get something out of you. So they get your email address and then they give you a free account. But they're a reputable company, so they're not going to send you a lot of spam. So there's not really any harm in making a free account. If you wanted to use it for things like, there's a limit to the amount of data you can process in a day in a free account. So if you go over it, then you can use the paid account to get more. If you wanted to do photo editing with it, you pretty much need a paid account. I've tried doing some photo editing with it for free, and I have not been impressed with it. I think that technology is still in the works. If you want to do AI photo editing, you probably need to pay for a software that does it separately.
So can you comment a little bit about voice? But it sounds like, I'll give you an example. I think it was about a year and a half ago, Heather and I were supposed to write our letter for inviting people to give to the church. And when we've done it before, I think I can honestly say it takes us about a half a day to get the wording the way we want it, so that it reflects stone and rock. Tammy, very lovely, typed in some suggestions and she created the letter. when we looked at the letter, we didn't think it was necessarily our voice. It was a great letter, but we didn't think it was the way we would produce that letter. So that's why I'm asking you
Yeah.
about voice.
So again, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So because I ask it to edit my documents all the time, then it's going to send me things that I want written back in my voice. The more you use it, the more it's going to get to know you and the more it's going to be more accurate. But if you don't like the voice that it's writing in, you can ask it to try again. If you say, that tone is a little harsh, I'd like you to change it. If I'm doing something theology wise, I usually say, I am in the United Church and I would like to know, because what you do in the United Church and what you do in the Lutheran Church and what you do in the Baptist Church can sometimes be a little different. So
You can scroll down to the bottom of the song. What does
it
say?
says, would you like a printed version or melody to use in worship or gathering?
Sometimes when I get to the bottom of that, they'll say, you know, are you copying this, or would you like it to change? So it's trying to learn my voice by asking me questions. So that's why he's asked me to get off her account, so that it wasn't gonna be my voice better than hers.
And Matthew one time had me say something out, and he told it to do it in write it like Dickens.
Oh.
And it did.
Yeah.
Person, by the way, we are.
Yeah, yeah, and pretty much doing.
Well, and I would suggest, you know, if you're not sure about it, the thing that I learned teaching computers years ago, if you don't have a reason, it's really hard to build computers. Because you have to have something, you have to try it.
Yeah.
So if you wanna play with ChatGPT, you know, do some fun things, write a song about something, you know, get it, just play with it till you get some comfort. And then when you wanna write a Christmas letter, I generally write my script first. Like what I've found is I'll write a sermon and I'll read it over and I'll edit it and I'm not sure. Well, now I'll write it and I'll pop it in there and I'll see what it says. And then I go, okay, yeah, I cleaned that up really well, oh no, I didn't do it up here or whatever. And, so, you know, try writing your own thing, putting it in and asking it to improve it, that's how we get to know your word. I haven't even learned good commands, I just say, improve this, you know.
Patty Lancaster is not friends with Rockwood United Church. I was going to send you the directions for how to make an album in iPhone. So I typed it in and it's given me 6 steps of how to make an album. It may not be correct. You may have to try it and see if it works. Because there are different versions of, but I find that sometimes, and maybe even often, it is better than Google for getting instructions for things. So I often will go here and Google to see I usually start here because it gives you a nice concise list and that works well for my brain. And then if I can't find it, then I do my own deep dive in the internet and try to find the thing I'm looking for.
What's related to albums, I haven't done a lot with, but to understand is that we used to, when we made an album, we'd make a copy of a picture for Ben, and a copy of a picture for Matt, and a copy of a picture for ourselves. We had 3 different books, 3 different copies of the picture. And when they're making albums in there, they're leaving your pictures where they are, but they're tagging them. Sometimes the language is tag, there's another word for it, that labeling, you know, so you're putting a label on, so I want all my pictures of little Alice in this album. And it'll put them there, but they're actually in the same place, but it's telling the album to go pick them up when you need them. So, you know, we do that sometimes on Facebook, we'll tag other people in, so they'll always see that picture or whatever. Well, it's the same kind of principle that you're tagging, so you can put something in, the same picture in multiple albums, still in the same place, but it'll use it in those different ones when you open it up. You'll be glad to know the cows went to regional council this weekend, the calves. Every time the slide didn't change what it was supposed to, we just see the cows.
Farley will be very happy.
I was opening my personal Facebook to send those instructions. I just didn't want that on the screen share. But if there's any other questions, we can lower them. If not, we'll just keep those cute cows up there for a minute.
We want to say thank you to Carol for joining us today. We hope that you've enjoyed it, and we'd be glad for you to open your mic and or camera if you're interested, but if not, just know that we were happy to have you with us.
I don't believe that as a presenter, I'm supposed to wrap up.
I should stand up and thank you too. But we always have our traditional gift basket of goodies, and so I get to put that basket up and put that in home with you, for you and your family. And thank you for a wonderful presentation. I think we all learned a lot. No matter where we're at, it's a simple matter of asking the right question, or just even not asking the right question, asking somebody for help, and that's the big thing. So thank you, Lisa.
I will add just a thank you to everyone who's come out to our wellness series. This is our last one for this year. So that means we're looking for ideas for next year, as it does take some time to get everybody lined up. So if you have any ideas, give them to Brian, they can do all the work.
I started a folder or a page, and there's 6 on it already, so we're looking for more.
We should give a big thank you to Stone United Church for sponsoring this event so that we could help learn and grow together. So thank you to everyone who supports the church financially so that we can offer programs like this.